last. Once we do this, there's no going back. Excuse me, ma'am. Look, I know you want your power regulator and all, but I just gotta ask you. Do you understand what you're about to do? I don't think you should cut off Edgewater's power. I think it would be cruel. I'm sorry. That just sort of came out all at once. Edgewater's hurting. We've been losing workers year after year, and corporate hardly ever sends replacements. There's barely enough Saltuna to fill our bellies anymore. But the town's got some good people in it. Decent, hard-working folk just living their lives the only way they know how. They don't deserve to be punished. Miss McDevitt's built something beautiful. Somehow, she's talked the ground into giving life again. It's plain to see she's made the Vale a better place. Fed the hungry, tended the sick. Gave a home to those that had none. But Miss McDevitt delights in Edgewater's suffering. She wants to hurt the town. Do you really want to be party to that kind of hatred? Well, that sure sounds like Mr. Tobson. If he was standing here, I imagine he'd remind us of how we're all one big, happy Spacer's Choice family. In Mr. Tobson's eyes, those deserters are still part of the Spacer's Choice family. The family must work together in order to survive. I hate to say it, but I think Mr. Tobson's got a point. Unless those deserters come back, Edgewater's as good as dead. Cutting off their power might be the only way. Sorry, I didn't mean to babble on like that. I felt like I had to say something. Really? I mean, wow. Thanks. No one's ever told me those words in that order.
Do you hear that? That low, pleasant hum of electricity? It whispers across the Vale like the winds of change. You've done well. I would have paid my last 5 bits to see the look on Reed's face when the last lamp in town burnt out and the cannery fell to silence. Time's come to look toward the future. We'll grow, I expect. A lot of workers out there with nowhere else to go. I don't look forward to turning folk away. Camp's gotta stay pure, though. Can't have corporate loyalists mixing with us, no matter how desperate they may be. I am curious. Why did you help us? You don't know who we are. You don't owe us a thing. The plant's crawling with mechanicals, so it stands to reason you risked your life. You're not quite like anyone else I've met. You haven't had your consciousness programmed by the board. You're welcome among us if you're ever so inclined.
Are we getting paid or not?
Any loss of productivity will be deducted from your pay.
I put my whole life in that cannery.
You want to know what gets my bile churning? Edgewater has suffered a cavalcade of disasters, plague, marauders, desertion. Then you wandered in town. And I was so damn sure our luck was starting to turn. I never knew how right I was. Just answer one question for me. Why'd you do it? Wonderful. Law have mercy. Well done, Reed. You went and delivered the fate of Edgewater into the hands of a certified imbecile. Whatever you were hoping to find down here, I advise you to turn around and leave. I have got guards posted with orders to fire on you. Edgewater's dead. Our cannery's dead. Adelaide's deserters are never coming back. Spacer's Choice will shut us down before long. Some of us will die of illness by then. Some will move on. Some will starve. And as for me, I will tender my resignation, whereupon I shall be processed and then duly imprisoned for gross incompetence. Apologies won't give us our lives back, but for what it's worth, I am sorry too.
Okay, here we go!
Ammo! Reload!
We did it! Is this your ship? Oh my stars, she is just so handsome! Does she have a name yet? What's her drive model? Oh, gosh. Listen to me babbling. When I was in Edgewater, I dreamed of flying on a real ship, working on a real engine, belonging to a proper crew. Edgewater won't last another season without power, but that don't change the fact that I'm indentured to Spacer's Choice. Company expects me back at my post. I have imagined it, but until you came along, I never thought I had the choice. I want to ask you something, and you can say no. But can I come with you? I could tend to your engine. I know my G-valves from my catalyzers, and I can keep your ship singing. And if you ever need a pair of eyes watching your back, I can do that too. What do you think? Yeah, I've been thinking about that. I never got along with Mr. Tobson, but I don't think he deserved to die. He tried to do his best. I suppose that's fair. You were just acting in self-defense and all. I had my misgivings about Miss McDevitt and the deserters, but you took pity on them and sent power to their garden even though you knew Mr. Tobson would hate you for it. All this time, you've been determined to get your regulator back, get your ship up and running, and cut a path out of this place. And well, I won in. Not much of an Edgewater left to go back to. My whole life's been small. I realized that when you walked into town. I've been seeing the same faces every day, the same sky, the same stars. Then I saw this ship. This gorgeous, stately lady with her eyes turned skyward, and I made up my mind to come along with you. Yes! I mean, thanks. You won't regret this, ma'am. Captain. I can call you Captain now. Ha! I got a captain.
Well, I certainly am looking forward to flying on a ship named the Unreliable. I'll just head upstairs and claim a room.
Captain, I have detected that the town of Edgewater is now without power. I appreciate you doing your part to hasten their demise. What can I do for you, Captain? Do you know how to install a power regulator? Outstanding, Captain. Your aptitude for engineering will prove invaluable in the event of another catastrophic engine failure. Our engine room is located behind you. Across the cargo bay, up the ladders. What can I do for you, Captain? All systems are operating within acceptable parameters. I am prepared to bring the Unreliable into low-altitude orbit. This should prove an adequate test of our flight capabilities. received a communication request from Dr. Phineas Wells.
Aha, there you are. Hale and hearty, and captain of your own ship. I see you're putting the unreliable to good use. Shame about her former captain. Horrible way to die. How are you feeling, by the way? I lost track of you in that cave back there. Experiencing any, unnatural drippage? Perfectly normal side effect of thawing, I assure you. Oh, that, yes, that's probably permanent. I wouldn't worry about it, though. I'm sure you're fine. What you saw in Emerald Vale is happening all across the colony. Food shortages, lack of supplies, and basic necessities. We're dying. The chairman, the minister, and all their lackeys on the board are to blame. The Hope has some of the brightest minds Earth ever sent us. If we can revive the Hope's colonists, they can help us undo the board's mistakes. They can help us set things right. You need to get to Stellar Bay on Monarch. I have contacts there. They'll help me, help us, find the chemicals to revive your fellow colonists. Gladys Kelly, lovely woman, runs a cozy little black marketing outfit on the Groundbreaker. She can get you a nav key to land on Stellar Bay. In theory, I suppose you could land your ship in Cascadia, and in theory, I suppose you might survive the experience. Cascadia is utterly seething with dangerous, highly aggressive creatures more than capable of tearing you limb from limb. You'd have to be a lunatic to land in Cascadia, and I'm reasonably certain I tested your brain for incipient signs of insanity. Trust me, talk to Gladys Kelly. Gladys and I have been doing business for years. Her smuggling credentials are unimpeachable. If anyone can get you a key to Monarch, it's her. Strictly speaking, Monarch is a moon, terraformed badly, and almost completely lawless. You'll love it. Captains don't fly their own ships, you see. Your navigation terminal handles the, navigation. Think of a nav key as a set of flight instructions. The board's been confiscating nav keys for Stellar Bay, so we must rely on unconventional means of acquisition. Hence, Miss Gladys Kelly. Excellent. I'll send her a wireless. Let her know you're coming. By the way, I gave Captain Hawthorne a disguise apparatus of my own design, cutting-edge technology years ahead of its time. I call it the holographic shroud. I'm sure it will prove remarkably useful to you. You'll find it in the captain's quarters. Wrong matter of shroud, my slow-witted accomplice. This is, how to put it simply, a device that makes you look different, sound different. Briefly. The device has its limits, but it will allow you to blend in perfectly, and probably won't jeopardize your ability to have children. Will it? No, definitely not. Probably, yes. Very simply, the holographic shroud uses biometric information contained on standard identity cartridges to generate a holographic projection around you. Only stands up to a casual scrutiny. Use it too long, bound to flicker, blur, something like that. Movement makes it more likely. Best used in moderation. When you see guards in your path you can't sneak past, for example. Maintain your distance. Act normal. No running, no jumping. Don't draw their attention. If they pay attention, they're more likely to notice flaws in the hologram. A change of clothes. What is this? Some old spy serial? What inattentive and brainless guard would be fooled by such a shabby disguise? The holographic shroud masks not only your clothes, but your face and fingerprints. It modulates your voice and sweetens your breath. Science, that's how. Ha 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 ha! The beauty is they don't expect it. The shroud is the only one of its kind. We humans have a tendency to overlook the unexpected. Activate the disguise, walk past someone. What do they see? A figure dressed like a fellow employee. Don't act odd. They won't focus on you. Excellent. I'll contact you once you've found a way to get to Stellar Bay. If you have any questions, come see me in my lab. And remember, don't trust the board. They'll try to win you over with promises of wealth and power, but it's a lie. The board's only interested in filling their own pockets. If we don't put a stop to them, they're going to run this colony to the ground.
Transmission ended. If you are ready to depart, please select a destination on your navigation terminal.
Yes, you caught me ruminating again. Guilty as charged. What's occupying your thoughts? I've been thinking on that. There's a former infamous philosopher scholar who fled Terra 2 some years ago. He's an expert on Baconu. He's also who told me of the journal's presence in Emerald Vale. If anyone in this colony could translate that book, it would be him. You caught me. Listen, the OSI frowns on fraternization with philosophists. I'd like to keep my associations with our scholar friend quiet. The only one I'm aware of. I suppose we could always just ask random passers-by if they are fluent in it. 1,000 pardons, my good captain. I thought we were engaging in witty repartee. Now, as far as tracking down this scholar, we should start on the Groundbreaker. It's where I'd go if I wanted to get off Terra 2. Great place to pick up a ride to Hephaestus, Scylla, even Monarch. All I need is access to a data cartridge from the security terminal. Their easily hackable system keeps a registry of all crew manifests for both arrivals and departures. I'll comb the last 6 months of departure manifests to track the Philosophist's off-world destination. Before I transferred to Edgewater, I had a wealth of time to develop certain, secular skills during my years serving a particular penitentiary flock. I meditated, led sermons, provided guidance to the inmates as needed, of course. I also played prison yard tossball and taught myself a bit about computronic security systems. Thank you, Captain.
Make yourself at home, Captain. We've arrived at the Groundbreaker.
Hey, Cap, can we talk? Hey, Captain. I heard that Groundbreaker's got a real good engineer. A lady named Junlei Tennyson. I was thinking that maybe I ought to meet her. If you got time to swing us by, I mean. I don't got much experience fixing actual spaceships. I bet you a can of Borston beans she could teach me all manner of stuff. Gosh, no, Captain. I aim to stay so long as I'm welcome. I figured Junlei and I could confabulate over wireless, or by message. And maybe when we put into Groundbreaker, I could stop by to visit her sometimes. But only when you don't need me with you. I abso-surely can. I'm a passing fair mechanic. Even Mr. Tobson would have said it's my only skill. But I'm used to working on cannery lines, AG loaders and the like. There's tricks about ships I ain't learned yet. All I'm looking for is a few pointers. I bet a lady who runs a whole station has forgot more than I ever learned. Thanks, Captain. I'll be sure to make it worth your time. Did you want to talk about something else? Mostly, yeah. I lived in the maintenance office near all my life. Mr. Tobson never let me forget how funny that was. He meant funny as in odd. It's not normal for anyone to do as their parents. You take a vocational test. That decides your schooling and your career. When I tested out for maintenance, everyone figured it was on account of my dad. They were real unhappy with us. Well, they're powerful good tests. They rattled off this whole list of names who'd worked on them, with fancy bits hanging off them. Doctors and esquires and the thirds. Even if you don't believe they actually catch what everybody's best at, everybody's got to take them, so at least it's fair-ish. Because they were hoping their own kid would get the job and get sent back to Edgewater. When folk go away for schooling, they don't get back to where they begun. Not usually. You go straight to your first job, wherever the company's got an opening. Real smart folk design the tests. They use these things called algorithms. They take into account what fulfills you. If somebody isn't happy in the job they get, it's likely on account of a poor attitude. Well, I'm good at making things work the way they ought. Not so much at doing such to somebody else's schedule. There's times I'm working deep in the guts of a loader, getting it all running perfect. Then I look up to see it's tomorrow, and I've blown another deadline. Anyhow, I was happy to get back home. I didn't care much for schooling. Oh, there were a whole lot of reading, not nearly enough doing. Like, before they'd issue you a wrench, they wanted an essay on the design of different wrenches. Then there'd be quizzes on company regulations for storage and maintenance of wrenches. As soon as I got permission, I spent all my time in the machine shop. They had all manner of parts, but they didn't want me using them, so I had to sneak them sometimes. I even slept in there. Had a hammock tied up in the rafters. Before I left, I installed a little skylight for myself, so I could see the stars. Teachers came through now and again, looking for slackers or contraband, but I was always working. They liked that. Otherwise, I tried not to call attention to myself. Just stay quiet in a corner, and I'll get overlooked. When my roommates tried to talk, I'd get so nervous I'd be drenched in sweat. It was easier for everybody when I stayed off on my own. I doubt any of them remember me now. Yep, nothing much had changed. Everything was a little grayer, a little dirtier. Dad met me at the shuttle and gave me a big ol' hug. I noticed straight away that he was moving slower and stiffer. He made a little grunt when I squeezed. About a year. I tried to do more of the work so he could rest. His heart gave him pains. Dad never said that he loved me, you know? I knew on account of him showing it. How he'd stay up late to help with my projects or listen to my fretting. Oh gosh, look at the time. Sorry to bend your ear so long. And I got so much to do before this ship's in decent shape. What? You want me to leave? Captain, you can't mean it. Oh, that's a relief. Thanks, Captain, for letting me stick around.
Smells like grease and unwashed bodies. Just as I remembered.
Just checking your ship's manifest. Standard procedure. Welcome to Groundbreaker, by the by. Don't mind the heat. Got a few days before it reaches critical. I'm sure Miss Chief Tennyson will get it sorted before then.
That's not the point. This halfwit just knocked out one of my workers.
Yeah, with a tossball stick. I heard you the first time. There weren't any witnesses.
No witnesses? He's not even denying it.
Jackass had it coming.
Shut it, Felix. You're not making this any better.
You get cute with me again, you little Back Bay brat, I will toss you out an airlock.
This is the Groundbreaker, not Byzantium. You ain't the law here. I am. Now move along.
I don't have time for this. I need a drink.
Going for a stroll around the docking base? Sure was. Got a knack for upsetting the board and the Mardettes all at once. Between you and me, I was hoping they'd come to fisticuffs. Yeah, he's like the rest of those bored jackasses. All bluster, no grit. All you gotta do is square your shoulders and stand up to him. Board ain't accustomed to disobedience. The guy insulted my Rizzo's Rangers, alright? You can't just insult my Rangers and expect to get away with it. So, of course, I decked him with a tossball stick. I mean, what am I? Some kind of fair-weather fan? Only the finest group of tossball players ever to take the field. He's a Spacer's chosen man, though. So when the Chosen beat my Rangers the other night, my foreman comes swaggering up with his head full of boasting. Look, this was a long time coming. Guy thinks he can push me around because he's some sky-high foreman, and I'm just a back bay's dock worker. Well, former dock worker. Guess I just tendered my resignation. Enjoy my freedom. Scrounged together enough bits for a 0G. Other than that, can't say as I do. Hey, not for nothing, but I saw you wander out of that ship over there by the dock. Wouldn't happen to be yours, would it? Oh, just musing is all. Must be nice having the run of the colony. Never being anchored to one place, always chasing some horizon. Hey, I don't want to tuck your ears off, guessing you got places to be. I appreciate your time. Felix Millstone. Pleased to make your acquaintance. See you around, boss.
Customs and inspection, right this way.
Identification, please. That's only about the third or fourth dumbest line I've heard all day. I give it a 6 out of 10.
Seems a little high. That was barely a 3, in my humble opinion.
Hey, that's better than half. Could be worse.
Could be better, too. So, identification... Captain Hawthorne, you said. Let me apologize in advance. I'm about to ruin your day. According to your ship's record, you've been flagged by the board. Your ship will be impounded until such a time as they see fit to lift it.
But we've hardly been out of Edgewater long enough to get in trouble.
Well, isn't this wonderful? The captain's done something to get on the board's bad side.
Now, hold on. This isn't the end of the world. Probably. You'll want to take it up with Udom Bedford, our board representative here on Groundbreaker. His office is located along the starboard wall of the promenade. Shines like a Byzantium commode. You can't miss it. Access to that information is above my pay grade, and I've turned down 3 promotions, so it stays that way. I shouldn't be mentioning it, but what the hell? This here, impounding your ship, it doesn't happen much. The board knows we don't take kindly to their interfering in our operations. If I had to take a guess as to why, you must have riled up someone important. You take the starch out of them, well, you won't hear any complaints from me. Oh, and if you're headed that way, would you mind doing me a favor? Wanda Dorset over in sickbay, tell her the shipment's not in yet. It's not coming in anytime soon, and if she'd be so obliged to get off my ass about it. A handful of SAM cleaning units retrofitted for surgery. I don't know much else. I stopped listening when she started yelling. Much appreciated. Is there anything else I can help you with? You noticed, huh? They can't abide an independent township, especially not one they gotta depend on. We're the first and last stop out of this colony. All their interstellar freighters come through us, and we skim a few bits off the top in manifest processing fees with every one. Folks around here will bluster that the board hates our freedom, but really, they know we can stop their out-system shipments any time we like, and that terrifies them. You mean the heat? Sure, we could make them fix it, but what would they do in retaliation? They got assault cruisers, gunships, and a handful of mining operations at their fingertips. We push them too hard, maybe they decide we'd be better in 10 trillion little pieces. Or they cobble together a new groundbreaker and put us out of business.
The board wouldn't do that. Would they?
The board is necessary to provide order to the colony. They believe it's their prerogative to overrun you. But whether you allow that is up to you.
It's a tough line to walk, no doubt about that. But we make do all right. So far, anyway. He's friendly enough unless you speak ill of the board. Get the sense he doesn't care for Groundbreaker much. Not that he would, being a board man and all. He's our liaison. Yep, Groundbreaker's the only real independent port. Aside from us, there's just tramp freighters and wildcat miners. Seems like every year the board's offices get bigger and their ships take up more of the landing bays. Haven't seen nearly as many tramp crews this year. Sure thing. Maybe. Most of the shipping traffic in the system passes through Groundbreaker. Every couple of months, we even get a big interstellar freighter. Two biggest operations are the board, that is, Halcyon Holdings and Sublight Salvage. But there are independent operators around the promenade deck. Most of those jobs are going to take you off station, though. They strip the parts from derelict ships and abandoned outposts. There's some that say they make the derelicts and encourage folks to abandon their steads. Sublight gives me the creeps. I've known folks who went to work for them and just vanished. They're on the promenade run by a woman named Lilia Hagen. I'm only telling you so you know to avoid them. Are you pulling my leg? Well, you seem to know yourself, and that's got to count for something. Not too many folks can say the same. Goes like this. Back on Earth, before the crossing, the powers that be were selling off stakes in distant star systems they thought had potential. A bunch of companies decided to throw in together and form the Halcyon Holdings Corporation, then buy up the rights to this here colony. That group's what we now call the Board. Groundbreaker was one of the original colony vessels to come over on the crossing, a few years before her sister ship, the Hope. Once everybody'd been de-thawed and dropped dirt side, the original crew of the Groundbreaker decided they rather liked the spacefaring life. I guess that was the start of our independent spirit. Now, here we are. Sitting around drinking whiskey and smoking cigars, yeah, probably. Can't say for sure, of course. Doubt I'll ever see the inside of it myself. Yep, Groundbreaker's the only real independent port. Aside from us, there's just tramp freighters and wildcat miners. Seems like every year the board's offices get bigger and their ships take up more of the landing bays. Haven't seen nearly as many tramp crews this year. Glad to help. Commandant Sanita might have a couple of folks she needs killed. Bad folks, I mean. Not regular folks. She'll be at the security desk behind me. Chief Junlei might have an errand needs running. She's all tied up trying to fix our heat problem. You'll find her in engineering.
No kidding? I'd love to get a look at this old girl's innards. I bet they're real twisty and weird. In a good way.
Happy to help. That's my job, after all.
You're real good at it, too.
Well, thank you, miss. It's nice to be recognized. Yep.
Can we move this along? I have a certain, matter I'd like to attend to, Captain.
Relative to the board holdings? Not really. But there's a few with the means to go where they will. They aren't rich, but they aren't likely to look too close at your work history either. All right. Most places are on the promenade deck. Big door yonder, straight through security. There's a bar on the starboard side. I got a preference for the Lost Hope myself. Talk to Vera. She'll set you right. It means on your right side. Reckon you're from one of the planets. Word of advice. You see a door marked opens to vacuum? Stay clear. That's not the kind of vacuum... You know what? Never mind. Open any door you want. The mess will take care of itself. The fence. You'll find her in the rest and go, on your left when you enter the promenade. Make sure you bring an empty belly. Be seeing you.
This is it. Security. I can check the departures registry to find out which crew the Scholar shipped in and out with.
I picked up this weird signal the other day. It was coming from Monarch.
Here we go again. No one lives on Monarch. It's a wasteland. You were hearing things.
No, seriously. There was a lot of static at first, but then this voice said his name was Graham?
Graham, right. Broadcasting on a dead world full of monsters. Now I've heard everything.
You know, it takes more muscles to frown than to smile.
Who told you that? Graham?
Asshole.
Try not to be distracted by the glare of the adverts. Lots of unsavory types about.
Rizzo's Purpleberry Budge. A soft, sour candy shell around a sweet purpleberry flavored center. Suck it.
Cheddar and a space caterpillar out there.
Traffic's down all over. Even the inners are holding on to their manufacture. Exports are way down.
I know one crew, their skip drive burned out. Couldn't get a new one for love nor money. Ended up selling the ship for scrap.
Sorry about the heat. Chief Tennyson will get the radiators fixed soon. Of course, this heat sure makes a zero-G brew extra refreshing. It's an ale that's good for what ails you. Oh, and it's not the best choice, it's Spacer's choice. Taste the freedom. A lot of slogans to keep track of. Sometimes I forget. I'm bound to satisfy headgear-related inquiries. Please send any complaints to our Consumer Care Headwear Division. Oh, I'm having a stellar day. And not just because I'm legally obligated to say so. Almost as stellar as Spacer's Choice is affordable. I can see all of the top-quality merchandise in the Spacer's Choice catalog, which is available here at a reasonable price. Spacer's Choice regrets that we don't sell toothpaste at this time, but we're always working on delivering exciting new products to our customers. Sprat Wash, Mouthwash, and Mantafloss are among the exciting line of dental goods currently in development. Don't miss out on these deals. You'll find none like them on all of Groundbreaker, or anywhere in the Halcyon colony. Trouble sleeping? Try our Lunar Eclipse Mix. That's 2 handfuls of pep pills washed down with a hearty swig of 2-hour energy brew. The blast will send you through the stratosphere and the crash will knock you out cold, guaranteed. You would never ask if you knew what it's like in here. I mean, why, anyone can be a Spacer's Choice Consumer Relations Choice Specialist. Just keep your nose clean and aim for the moon. Add an additional 10% to your purchase today, and the proceeds will be donated to Spacer Cares, our premier corporate welfare program. At Spacer's Choice, we care about your health and emotional well-being. That's why we put Martin through 6 years of vendor school, only to make him wear this hat. Even if my contract didn't forbid it, I think it's part of me now. Now, are you ready to make Spacer's Choice Lunar Green Moonmouth lozenges a part of you? Lunar Green. The future is spearmint. Damn it. There's no slogan for that one. Look, this hat, my job, it may not seem like much to a brave space captain, but they're all that I have. If there are self-made purgatories, then we all have to live in them. Mine can be no worse than someone else's. Now, if we're done with the chit-chat, I hope you don't mind if I make the most of this short life and try to be the best moon person I can be. It's fine. I should be stronger than this. Thanks for taking an interest. Speaking of interest, can I interest you in some quality budget goods? At Spacer's Choice, we cut corners so you don't have to. Heard of it? My orientation aether wave showed that famous Saltuna cannery, which I'm sure smells as good as it looks.
If you did, that'd be good, actually. They could use the help.
And if you do, please don't mention us.
I'd have to go over my contract, but I don't think I'm allowed to leave Groundbreaker. Or this stall. So, what can I get you? Some soap? Everyone loves soap. Everyone will love you for using it, too. Anything and everything. Whatever you want, we got it. And when you need a replacement, we got that, too. Have a look.
I'm not going anywhere, you hear? You can't keep me out of there.
Please don't make a scene, Dr. Fenhill.
I am not making a scene. I'm sorry. Am I causing a scene? See, Umfuru? We could have avoided all this unpleasantness if you just let me talk to Jesse in the first place. Let me get one thing straight. Jesse and I are not friends. I just owe her, okay? As for the rest, I'm trying to figure that out. All I know is that she's been here too long, and she's apparently not receiving visitors. You say that like it's weird. It is most certainly not. And watch where you go saying that, okay? You're gonna give people the wrong idea. I just don't like to leave a debt unpaid, that's all. Be my guest. If you know something I don't about dealing with hospital bureaucracy, I'll be impressed.
What seems to be the problem? If only my other patients had so many inquiring after them. I'll tell you what I've told the others. The records say Miss Doyle checked herself in and requested I admit no visitors. The requests of our patients are paramount, so no, you may not see her. She's not my patient. I'm certain no one on my staff would falsify patient records, if that's what you're implying. Not without dispensation from Chief Junlei, I fear. Supplies are hard to come by out here. We don't have the ability to manufacture our own medical supplies here on Groundbreaker. Regrettably, we are dependent on the board for such mundane items as bandages and antibiotics, as well as more critical resources like adequately trained staff. We'd nearly signed a supply agreement with Anti-Cleos, but they demanded we only use their branded drugs, and that's simply not tenable. Take care.
I was wondering what they do with their waste. I guess they just chuck it down here. Where's it all go?
You know that sound when you've snapped on an injector clip? Ah, that's how you know your weapon loves you back. I got a full line of weapon modifications I'd be happy to show you. Why, it gets you the weapon best suited for your lifestyle.
All the better for performing a little percussive maintenance.
Self-improvement, including one's weapons, is always a worthy endeavor.
Take your basic Deadeye assault rifle. Perfectly serviceable. But what if you like finesse? Slap a scope and silencer on that bad boy. Bunker down in a bush someplace and pop off heads. What if you like getting in close and making a lot of noise? Extended ammo magazine and a barrel heatsink to bump up rate of fire. Only takes a bit of elbow grease and a spot of engineering know-how. Most ships have a workbench near the cargo hold. Ours is in engineering. You could take your new toys over there if you feel like tinkering. No and yes. When you install something, it pops in there real nice, but if you want to replace it, the originals tend to snap like plastic toys. Right here for a start. I got a fair selection. Modified weapons are my specialty.
A what? Sorry, hon. Here at Bell's Shells, we just don't discuss impolite topics, and WARRANTIES tops the list. So, what can I get you?
This is Halcyon News. We interrupt your regularly scheduled advertisement for the following story. The board would like to remind spacers and other travelers that passage to Monarch is restricted for your protection. Canyons of acid and sulfur rain are the least of the horrors plaguing the surface of Monarch. Anarchists live as one with the animals, lawless, savage, and unemployed. The board's embargo ensures that nothing can leave the planet and threaten our hardworking citizens. You've been listening to Halcyon News, your mandated duty as a good citizen of Halcyon.
Seeking relief from the heat? Till June Lay gets those radiators fixed, I've got the next best thing. The radiators, they're fucked 10 ways to Sunday. And we're all sweating buckets wondering when the powers that be are gonna get around to fixing it.
It might be your thermal control system's busted. That can happen if it's not tended to from time to time.
I don't really care what the issue is, kid. I just want it fixed. Sweat's starting to make me chafe in places I shouldn't be chafing. Groundbreaker's, what do you call it? Like in a terrarium.
A closed system, you mean?
Yeah, what she said. Can't let the outside, that is space, in, or we all die a horrifying airless death. Still gotta let the heat out, though, or we cook. And right now, we're cooking. Engineering. Chief Junlei Tennyson, to be precise. She runs this heap. Best she can, anyway. Don't know what's got her dragging her heels, but I wish she'd hurry it up. They're supposed to gather up all the heat the systems generate and vent it into space. Instead of the heat going where it ought, though, it seems to be blowing straight down the promenade. Weeks? I've lost track. Too law-damn long. That's not for me to say. But if you're feeling the urge toward helpfulness, you can find Chief Junlei in engineering. There's nobody who knows more about the station's guts. Any system you could name, June's crawled around inside and made it better. She doesn't come around here often, though. Don't see her as much of a drinker. Too straight-laced for that. Only the usual. Marauders all over space. You ever wonder how folk who can't figure the bleeding-edge technology of a spoon can manage to get ships into space? Stellar Bay proper? Tough to say. The board recalled all the nav keys about 10 years back when the corpse pulled back to Terra 2. It's overrun with beasts, I heard. Big ones. Kinda chew your face off for fun. Might all be board propaganda, though. If you're aiming to get to Stellar Bay, you're gonna have to get your hands dirty. The board don't like them that truck with Monarch. But I ain't the one you ought to be asking. Try Gladys on the promenade. She'll fix you up. What ain't I got?